Hello. How are you tonight? How's your night going? One day. I'm just sharing. And I think I've shared enough, right? The right people, the people that are meant to be here will be here. I will be back in a moment. I'm going to go grab my tea. I'm just in the process of steeping it. Oh, you are someone. It's a good message to read every time you enter a room. Right? And it's true. It's true. All right. So while I wait for my tea to steep for a little bit more, I'm going to tap on my screen. How are you tonight? How is your Wednesday going? Hello, hello. All right, we're good there. Do a couple of taps on this one too. And by that time, I think that my tea will be ready. I'm going to go grab that, and then we can check the cards and see what's happening with them. Yeah, we're going to talk about spirituality. We're going to talk about a bunch of different things. Oh, yeah, I have to grab my other book too. We can talk about healing stuff. We can talk about spirituality. We can talk about awakening. We can talk about ascension. Talk about whatever you guys want. You can ask questions. I reserve the right to answer or not. That's the bonus about it being my channel. All right, I have to get two things: socks and tea, because my feet are chilly. Hi, Santa. How are you? How are you doing, Santa? I think I remembered everything. I remembered my book. I remembered my tea. And I even brought a shawl and I bought my socks. I think I remembered everything. All right, how is your Wednesday going? Oh, I forgot one thing I did. Hello, hello. Okay, I have my thing. I'm making sure I have everything. Good morning, good morning. How are you doing tonight? How is your Sunday? No, it's Wednesday. How's your Wednesday? All right. Oh yeah, I was gonna. Well, I don't know. I was gonna go and grab my other device so I could play some music. But we'll see. We'll see. Hello, hello. My keyboard out of the way. All right. Hello, hello. All right, pick that one up. The Seven of Water. This is choices, dreams, imagination, opportunities, wishful thinking, illusions, spiritual awakening. The Seven of Water reminds you that while life is full of possibilities, discernment is key. Okay. Hi, Sparrow. Trust your heart and intuition to guide you toward the path meant for you. Okay. So the Seven of Water isn't a negative card, right? It's just giving us guidance. And honestly, if you look at everything in your life as an opportunity to grow, and you take the experiences that you have, you learn from the lessons that you're given, life goes a lot smoother. It goes a lot smoother when you don't fight it. All right, we got two cards that are in the inverted, the 10 of Earth and the 6 of Fire. So when we're looking at the reverse of the 6 of Fire, it can be talking about an inner victory, self-validation, but there is the opposite side of the 6 of Fire, which can be that imposter syndrome, and it can also represent having a fear of the spotlight. So it's either or. But the 6 of Fire in and of itself is reminding you that your journey has been seen and honored. Okay. But also to recognize, like, to take the time to celebrate, but to make sure that your fire is guiding force for others, right? We're meant to lead, not just for us. Like, when you think about it, the more that you become aligned and the more that you awaken, your vibration, your frequency resonates in the environment that you're in, and it's waking up people in that subtle way that it does. Everything is relationship. You can see relationship through everything. If you could see how ether or consciousness, how it goes through everything, it's in and around and covers everything. It's through all the things that are living. And when you can actually see that, you understand how the relationship between everything and how that changes reality, how that helps to, and it changes the way that you look at all of life and your relationships. We also have the 10 of the 10 of Earth, the 10 of Earth. The 10 of Earth, this is typically, it's a positive card, but because it was in the reverse, it's indicating that there's a fear of loss. There maybe is instability, some short-term gains. There may be, you're pushing for the short-term gains over long-term stuff. Aw, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. You just get used to it. I started, like when I first started doing it, I started 5 years ago, and doing it 5 years ago, it was a pretty big switch. I went from being the director of nursing and into running my own company, and that was predominantly in a field of being online and doing content and lives and all of that stuff. It was a complete and utter switch from what I'd been doing before. So yeah, I understand that. It's a shift. So this 10, when it's in the reverse, like I said, there's also the disconnection from lineage or the possibility of financial mismanagement. And we are seeing that in the collective. And a lot of people are struggling. And it's because there's a lot of pressures that have been put onto everyone around us, in the sense that food, housing, like all of the necessities have been increasing. I don't think that's going to be good to drink. Like, I need a sip. Hi, Derek. All right. So we have a lot of people that are having financial instability within their lives, and you may be one of those individuals. And I hope that what you're doing at the very least is, you can look at what you have within your life that you can minimize, because maybe there are some things. Maybe you don't need Disney, Hulu, and, Prime or something like that, right? Maybe there's some things that you can minimize. But I know that there are situations where people, like, they're at the minimal that they can get to. So there's nothing that they can do in that. Well, then the only thing that you can do at that point is at least manage your nervous system so that you are not dysregulated. Because when you're dysregulated, your health suffers, your relationship suffers, your job suffers, your sleep suffers. Like, everything is dysregulated because your nervous system is. And a lot of us spend our time in a space of functional survival. So we're dysregulated, but we're not so dysregulated that we can't go to work. I mean, we maybe miss a day or two here and there. But for the most part, we show up and we go to work. There is the odd time when we are just functioning in survival mode. And that's because, like, we've been, say, triggered or something like that. And all we are doing at that moment is just surviving. So, that's how society is moving through those states. So no matter what you are experiencing, one of the best things that you can do is get a toolbox full of practices that you can use that will help you regulate your nervous system. Okay. And other things are going to be getting out in nature and experiencing that and building relationship with consciousness, relationship with source, right? Rather than thinking about having a relationship, necessarily with a religion or with a church or with a God that's judgmental. Think about having a relationship with consciousness, having a relationship with the ether that exists, giving your, having a relationship with Mother Gaia, Mother Nature, with all life. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. So then we have the King of Ether. So the King of Ether was in the upright position. And for some of us in society, or, for some of us that are here, we are taking our evolution seriously. We know that we came here to awaken. So we're looking at patterns, we're reading books, we're searching archives, we're finding information, we're remembering, and we're living those things as we should, because it's about embodiment. If you're not embodying it, it's just information. You have to actually live it to make it real. So this in the upright is about supreme mastery, divine leadership. It's about cosmic sovereignty, profound spiritual authority, and infinite wisdom. The King of Ether stands as the supreme guardian of divine truth and limitless expansion. He is here to remind you that your potential is boundless and you are meant to shape reality in alignment with the highest light. It's a powerful card. And we also have the Queen of Water, right? There's been a lot of talk about the rise of the divine feminine, and the rise of the divine feminine is not rising just in women or in those who identify as women. It is rising in every single being. Every single life energy has both masculine and feminine energy within it. So that's rising in everyone and everything. So this is, a beautiful card to represent that. The water element is about your emotions. And when we're looking at the upright of the Queen, it's deep love, emotional maturity, compassion, psychic abilities, and healing energy. Oh, thank you. It's all mine. These are my cards. Yeah. Thanks. The Queen of Water invites you to open your heart to the beauty of love, healing, and emotional wisdom. She is a reminder that compassion, intuition, and deep understanding are your greatest strengths. And they are, right? When we sit with that energy. Hi, Taryn. How are you? I hope you're able to stay. Oh, no problem. I'll show you a couple of my favorites, okay? Because, well, I have no problem showing off my artwork. I wanted to at some point I will. Okay, this is the Empress. And they're so much more vivid in the digital form because I did them in digital. Some of them are kind of cute to the lovers. Hi, how are you? I was hoping I would see you. This one here is the Hierophant. Yeah, I had so much fun creating these cards. I used to use other people's cards, but then once I did this deck, I didn't want to use anyone but these ones. And so I stopped doing tarot for a long time. And then I decided to print off the pictures, and then I glued them to watercolor paper. And I made a deck that I could use. And then I'm gonna start a Kickstarter for them, I think, at some point. Maybe, I don't know. I'm gonna produce them though. I've had too many people ask me to have them for themselves. This is one of my favorite ones. I just think it's cute. This is the Chariot. I just like the two little horses. Oh gosh, there's a couple. But there's one that I want to show because, well, okay, that one's the one for Ophiuchus, so this is Judgment. Aw, thanks, Pharaoh. I appreciate that. Some of them, like there's like this one here is the 9 of Air, and I just love the face that appeared in the artwork when I created it. I thought that was a lot of fun. Okay, there we go. I'll show you that one. This is, I love this one because it got the little baby dragon. It's just so cute. This one's a powerful one, the Cosmic Key. Oh, I love you. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy your dinner. Oh yeah, the Queen as a rabbit. Nice. And then the Queen of Fire. This one here is me and my dog, kind of is our spirit energy, which was cool. Yeah. Oh man, I've been having some magical times, absolutely magical times. I wish you could stay, Taryn. Oh my goodness. She would really enjoy the conversation I would have. Okay, so sacred relationship. Sacred relationship is absolutely what we are here to create, not just with ourselves, but with every life form that is out there. And that sacred relationship is actually the flower of origin, which precedes the flower or the seed of life. And the flower of origin is not a static sacred geometry. This is an ever evolving, it's constantly moving. And when we think of the heart as a vortex, the heart, when it is creating its energy, although it is toroidal, it is also creating it in the way that is the flower of origin pattern. So it's almost like it's rolling within and without and up and down. So it's almost like it's repeating the pattern of as within, so without, as above, so below. And you can see that as the ether constantly around everything and connecting everything. And when you see the way that the world is, that beautiful ether element or consciousness is actually running through everything. And it's almost looking like it's writing it into existence. It's really interesting how it shows up. So what do you think about that? Yes. Yes, exactly. Up and down, the rise, the fall, a flowing stream moves through it all. Exactly. I love that. So yeah, that is one of the things that I have been just absolutely fascinated with exploring is the flower of life. Sorry, the flower of origin. Well, all of sacred geometry, right? The Vesica Pisces, the Tetractys, the Merkaba, Metatron's Q. There's so many powerful sacred geometry because it's not just shapes, right? They actually carry divine laws encoded within them. And so they're very, very powerful, and their frequencies. When we look at planets, a planet is actually generating a sacred geometry. And within that sacred geometry is harmonics. And that harmonics is a musical tone, its frequency, its vibration, it's all of that. I'm getting light from somewhere, which is weird because the sun's like should be way over there. But anyway, it was just surprising me that there was this reflection. Give me a second. I'll try to see if I can get back to where I was. Maybe. I'm going to have a sip. All right. We'll see if it comes back. Okay. So in sacred relationship, though, we need to be having sacred relationship with everything. And one of the things that we need to restore sacred relationship with is the elements. And so I'm actually actively writing a book on elements and as an elemental field codex, field work codex. I mean, technically right now it's a notebook, but it's a pretty notebook, right? The way that our time would actually be run, I'm actually creating a calendar that works upon the Fibonacci sequence. And I'm looking at creating spaces that are based on sacred geometry. And, when structures were created before, structures used to be created with sacred geometry in mind, or with living sigils, or with buildings had purpose. Buildings weren't just constructed to be squares that locked everybody's energy in, right? So they were structures that were built with natural materials, and they were structures that could teach or that could heal and stuff of that, which is really, really amazing. So one of the things that I am looking at within that structure is, so I'm just very fascinated with sacred geometry. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And that's the way that I would look at that, because of the way that we are with a global identity now, right? Where we have people living all around the world. We can't completely do away without time, but we do need to be coming back into alignment with time. So we could have almost like a universal clock. So you would be like, okay, we're meeting at universal time, whatever universal time and date and time. And we would just meet at that time, no matter where you were in the world, that would be when you would meet. And otherwise, you would live according to like this spiral kind of flow of time where there's this evolution of it, right? We're not meant to spiral in a circle, right? We're meant to be going in a staircase, like you said, right? Going up that staircase. So I've started writing a book. Yeah. So I started writing a book on elemental field work, it's called the Elemental Fieldwork Codex. And it is a grounded path of elemental relationship, subtle perception, and conscious co-creation. So it's talking about, I'm actually this far, I've been writing, and in my little So I've got that far into it now with the writing. And so I wanted to talk about that for a little bit, if you guys don't mind. All right. So Elemental Fieldwork Codex. This is not about control. It is about relationship. The elements are not objects to be commanded. They are living principles, forces, intelligences, body states, ecological realities, and consciousness pathways. To work with them cleanly, the practitioner must become stable enough to listen, humble enough to receive, and clear enough not to project fear, fantasy, ego, or force into the field. The first law of this work is relationship before influence, listening before directing, consent before contact, coherence before practice, and embodiment before expansion. This system will train 4 primary abilities. 1, elemental perception. 2, nervous system coherence. 3, subtle field listening. 4, ethical co-creative interaction with earth, water, air, fire, and ether. Over time, this can support the development of telepathic sensitivity, remote perception, energy sensing, plant communication, elemental communion, dream work, and field-based ceremonial practice. But we do not begin with powers. We begin with presence. Part 1, the 5 elemental gates. For this, we work with 5 primary elemental gates: water, earth, air, fire, and ether. Would you like to know about water? Let me start with it. All right, water. Water is represented by a downward facing triangle. Okay, that would be the symbol for water in alchemy. Water represents emotion, intuition, memory, dreams, womb, blood, tears, rivers, oceans, grief, cleansing, receptivity, and flow. Water teaches: feel without drowning, receive without losing yourself, and soften without collapsing. Water governs emotional intelligence, intuition, ancestral memory, psychic receptivity, skipped a whole bunch. Receptivity, cleansing, compassion, grief work, and relational sensitivity. Distorted water shows up as emotional flooding, projection, codependency, manipulation, avoidance, confusion, or absorbing what belongs to others. Balanced water feels like compassion, fluidity, truth feeling, emotional release, intuitive clarity, and deep inner listening. Would you like to hear about earth? We can continue through all the elements. All right, earth. The body, bones, soil, stone, roots, structure, shelter, food, survival, containment, gravity, time, patience, and form. Earth teaches: be here, be honest, be steady, and build what can hold life. Earth governs grounding, embodiment, material reality, physical healing, stability, boundaries, consistency, and practical manifestation. Distorted earth shows up as stagnation, rigidity, hoarding, fear of change, numbness, over-attachment to material security, or disconnection from the living body. Balanced earth feels like calm, rootedness, reliability, nourishment, strength, and quiet confidence. All right, let's find out about air, fire, and ether. Air, breath, thought, sound, language, perception, communication, wind, song, nervous system rhythm, spaciousness, and movement. Air teaches listen, breathe, let thought become clear enough to serve truth. Air governs breath work, communication, telepathy, mental clarity, sound, prayer, song, language, observation, and the movement of subtle information. Distorted air shows up as overthinking, disassociation, scattered attention, spiritual bypassing, mental noise, gossip, or ungrounded abstraction. Balanced air feels like clarity, spaciousness, clear speech, inspired thought, precise perception, and a living relationship with breath. How many times a day do you check in with your breath? Because that's when you know you're having a living relationship with your breath, is when you actually take time to check in with it, which is fascinating if you're somebody that's created that relationship. Fire, will, transformation, digestion, passion, warmth, courage, action, purification. Thank you for following me, Preet. Purification, light, desire, sacred anger, and creative power. Fire teaches act from truth, burn what is false, let your will serve life. Fire governs transformation, courage, protection, purification, vitality, passion, motivation, creative ignition, and spiritual illumination. Distorted fire shows up as domination, rage, burnout, impulsivity, spiritual ego, intensity addiction, destruction, or force. And balanced fire feels like courage, warmth, devotion, sacred action, clean power, and the ability to transform without consuming. Or I'll hold off on ether until you get back, if you'd like. Hello. We're talking about the elements, and I'm just reading a little bit of a book that I'm in the process of writing. All right. So the ether element is space, consciousness, silence, field, spirit, unity, the unseen, the bridge between elements, pattern, vibration, and the living intelligence that holds all things. Ether teaches all is relationship. Space is alive. Listen beneath the sound. Ether governs subtle perception, meditation, dreams space, telepathy, prayer, field awareness, multidimensional listening, and direct communication with consciousness. Distorted ether shows up as dissociation, fantasy. Oh, yay. Yeah, I would love that. Yeah. Fantasy, disembodiment, escapism, delusion, lack of grounding, or spiritual superiority. Balanced ether feels like spacious presence, clear inner knowing, reverence, unity, humility, and connection without loss of self. So how's that? A good start for a book? There's so much more that's in there. I've got so much in there. I have all these like practices and everything for you to do to connect with all the elements. I had quite a magical journey. So I have a beautiful, beautiful property that I live on. I'm very, very, very grateful for the things that I have in my life, even though they come about in the weirdest ways. Like it's kind of miraculous. And that's just the way that it is. So I have a very beautiful property that I'm staying on, and the property is very abundant with things. The property is very abundant with roses, and the other day, I found an oyster mushroom, And so I identified it, I verified it, I identified it again and verified it again. You know, you don't mess around with wild mushrooms, you make sure. So I made sure. And I also have a thing about giving nature first dibs at anything that's out there, right? Like I can go to the grocery store. So I give first dibs to nature. So anyway, I also have been building a relationship with a raven on the property. And we have a long distance relationship because I have a dog who doesn't like the raven. So he won't let me get real close to him if he's outside. But I do occasionally feed him and I talk to him all the time, all the time. And that raven fights every single hawk that's on this property. And I've ran through the woods one time. Okay, I'll tell you this story. So I went on an adventure with my dog. I'm on 40 acres, 40 wooded acres out in the middle of, you know, a bunch of other 40 acres and, you know, of other acreages. And so I was on a journey and I was with my dog and we were down in the middle of the woods and my dog, I felt the energy shift. Like I just, there was something there and it wasn't like your typical, like I've come across deer, I've come across coyotes, I've come across all kinds of wildlife on the property in the time that I've lived here. This time the energy was different. And I was like whether it was like a cougar or something like that, like it could have been, they have been sighted in the area, although I've never seen them on my property since I've been here. My dog immediately shifted too. And he was like on point. He was searching for it. And so I was like, snapping and clapping loudly to try to catch his attention and get him to keep going to get to the house. And I was also doing something else, which was cawing. So I was making a loud caw like a crow or like a raven. And I was actually calling the raven. But when I went back to the house, like the, you know, everything settled, but I went on to the other part of the property on another trail. And as I was over there, I hear the raven come and he's cawing at me. And so we're running down the pathway together with him flying over top, cawing, and I was cawing at like back at him. So I was like, ah, and he's like, ah. So anyway, I have built this relationship with this raven. And so the other day I decided to finally harvest this oyster mushroom. And I harvested all these roses and various, you know, whether it was petals or rose buds or rose hips, I did a fairly decent harvest of them. And so I took a part of the mushroom, but I left a part for everyone else. But it was like you'd have to it wasn't like it was like a formed like this. There was like chunks, like pieces of it, but nothing like a big mushroom. But anyway, today I went out. I always speak with Mother Gaia and I'll speak with the elements and I'll speak with Source. And so a lot of times I just ask to be surprised and to be led to whatever I'm meant to find on my walk this day. And so out I go, and I'm on my walk and I look where the old mushroom that I harvested yesterday was to see if anything had eaten what I left for it. And I didn't notice like anything had really been eaten. I walked down a little bit further to this spot where I always sit and I sit and meditate, and I'll even channel notes on this bench. And I find 4 pieces of mushrooms placed around the chair, like big pieces like this of oyster mushroom. That raven brought me mushrooms and left them at my chair in the woods. And I was just like, I've never, I mean, that's the only thing I can think is it was the raven. Like, it doesn't make any other sense. They were put in like the little branches in the crooks of the tree, just sitting there all around where I normally sit. I don't convince me that it wasn't. I don't know. And then tell me what it was if it wasn't the raven. But it was pretty cool. Ooh. I channel notes every morning. I channel notes from my higher self, and then I channel notes for the collective. I'll look at my notes because there may be a message. I did talk to my mom today, though. I told her all about it too, all about my mushrooms. They were delicious. I did finally make a new a mother sourdough. So I have a sourdough starter now, aptly named Mama Gaia. All one word, Mama Gaia. And never apologize for getting nudged. If you get nudged with a message and you deliver the message, it's what you're supposed to do. Right? I always try to like put that out there. Like, I'm just the messenger. I don't know what to like, if you don't like the message, I'm just the messenger. Yeah, so I've been building quite a relationship with Mother Gaia. We've been having a lot of fun together. A lot of fun. I absolutely love her. And like I said, because I've been building a relationship with the elements, and then so writing my book at the same time, it's just reaffirming everything that I'm experiencing too, which is really nice. Life is magical, especially when you believe it is too. It is. Like, if you see it, right? If you open your eye to see it, you'll see it. If you open your mind and your heart to experience it, you will experience it. But we lost the magic of it, right? We lost the sacredness of it. And we need to get it back. We need to create, like, you think about back when you look at things like when the world fairs were, or you look at, the way, if you were to look at Tartaria, right? Look at how those structures were built, or look how societies were built. We can make things that are harmonious. We can make things that are aligned with sacred geometry. We can make structures that are healing. We can make things that, that are conductive or conducive for sound or for whatever, right? Like, we've done it before. So why are we making like those squares? Perfect. So I'll sit down and I'll ask for a channel. I'll ask for a message. Yeah, I'll meditate on it. I'll meditate on it and see what comes up. Hi, Steve. How are you? It's been a while, love. Love you too. I don't know why they won't let me have that comment. They just got to like go away. That's we can have that one. Jamaica. Love it. Love it. How are you, friend? It has been too long. Too long. Hi, Johnny. How are you? Been far too long. I had so many ideas before. This was one of the things. Okay, so far. Okay, this maybe okay. I was getting ready before the live, and in one part of the time when I was getting ready before the live, I got a vision. Okay, and it made me think about, like, I thought I have to cover that in the live that I do tonight. Okay. So I know a lot of us grew up and maybe we had really, really, really challenging childhoods. And we might even through those challenging childhoods have been very, very traumatized. And we may even through those childhood experiences have felt that either one or both of our parents did not like us or did not love us or something along those lines. And I've been doing a lot of healing lately. And one of the things that I was doing in my work with elements is working with the water element in healing. And one of the things that came up was that in one lifetime of yours, and in probably and definitely more than one, you have had a wonderful childhood. You've had parents who loved you, created a safe environment, raised you beautifully. You were confident. You always knew you were valuable. You always knew you were worthy and deserving. And, like you were your authentic self because you never had to wear any masks in order to fit in or get connection or stay safe. Okay. So that timeline exists, or that lifetime exists. You've already lived it before. So if you can tap into that energy, right, then you can access that level of knowing for who you are, and the level of self-confidence, self-value, self-worth that you should naturally have, and effectively erase the imprint of the energies that the bad childhoods have created in you, by restoring the timeline that you had that was good, that was safe, that was the best one. There you go. It's a beautiful way to heal it, right? We can call in timelines for all parts of our lives, right? But when we go back in time, like when we do the healing, when I take people on their healing journey, that's one of the things that I do, is I walk you in and I restore what it should have been like, right? Because when you take away, you get to walk into that memory and provide to yourself what it is that you should have had, so that there's not that lack anymore, that lack of care or that lack of safety. Most of the times, the reason why we have, those emotions that they kind of feel like it's a dam there of emotions at times, especially like when we're early in our healing journey, it'll feel like there's a lot because we haven't dipped our toes into it. So we think it's all of it, not realizing that it's going to be one bite at a time, or one step at a time, or one breath, one moment. It's always one to one to one to one to the next. But when we can repair those things, when we move through that space, repairing that, I lost my train of thought. I was trying to find it back. It's not coming. It was going. I was chasing my tail in circles. I was like, oh no, it's just running away. It's running away. Oh my, it'll come back if it was important, right? My tea has too much mint in it. I wanted a couple mint, but made too many. Exactly. It does, right? Normally I would, and I think that's just what I was talking about, was how I would walk people into their memories and allow them to provide to them what they should have had. And that's what we are doing in our healing journey, is we become the parent that we should have had, in equal measures, both our father or our mother, right? Because if your dad was bad, chances are your mom had some part to play in that, right? Like there's a balance, there's a mirror, there's a reflection. We tend to come out with wounding on both the masculine and the feminine when we have trauma in our homes. It's not usually that we have a wonderful relationship with our mom and a perfect idea of what women are supposed to be like, and all of the feminine energy aspects are perfect, but a distorted masculine, right? We usually, and besides, society has created distortion on both ends of the spectrum, right? Both feminine and masculine energies are distorted in society as it is. And the mere fact that feminine is assigned to women specifically and only, and masculine is assigned to men only, is where the first distortion is, because both of us have masculine and feminine, and we are operating under those specific energies when we're doing certain tasks, or sometimes not doing things, right? The feminine energy of receiving it's not an active action, right? It's more passive. So, there's all those distortions. So we often have those, and we have to heal those. And that's by providing the healthy in the space where we've had that. But most often we've been holding on to emotions, and we just need to release those emotions. And so it's like completing the equation, right? Yep, the sacred union, the Heros Gamos. And that's that sacred relationship that we need to remember in all areas. I keep saying it's sacred relationship in all things, with nature, with yourself, with your masculine and your feminine. When you get into the concept of sacred relationship and you take it to the level that I'm trying to get to in my life, I was sitting there the other day brushing my teeth, and I started thinking, do I treat my mouth in sacred relationship? Right? Because if you think about that, if you think about being in sacred relationship with your mouth, then you're going to think about everything that you're putting in it and everything you're saying or everything that comes out of it. Right? And that's powerful. Right? If you're in sacred relationship with your mouth, then you're really going to think about the things that you say to other people, to yourself. Right? What are you speaking into the field? What are you allowing the ether to resonate through your words into the field and bring back to you in some way or another? And what are you putting in your mouth? Are you eating stuff that's highly processed, that's fake, that's never seen the light of day, that's been made inside a factory that is full of chemicals and you don't even know what? Or are you eating whole food? Are you eating food that saw the light of day? Do you know where your food came from? Are you eating like, nah, 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 right? Are you just shoveling it into your mouth? Or are you eating like you could love yourself? I love you too. All right. I am back Saturday at 10 a.m. for global meditation. And it uses sacred geometry and toning. And it's about unity, peace, and ascension. It's beautiful. It's powerful. Come back and check it out. And thank you for hanging out with me. I appreciate you. All right. What else were we going to say? Sacred relationship, right? So when you are in sacred relationship, when you think about it, to be in sacred relationship with aspects, not just the whole, right? To be and to say, oh, I'm in sacred relationship with my body. But like I said, when you dial it down and you're like, well, if I have a sacred relationship with my ears, what am I listening to? What am I putting in them, right? Like, am I wearing wireless headphones that are, just putting radiation right into my head? Or am I using wired headphones or am I listening to a speaker, right? Like what am I doing with my ears? Am I sticking things in it? Am I, listening to garbage? Right? How much am I actually listening, or am I, speaking so much I can't hear? So those are ways to look at enhancing sacred relationship and not just looking at it as like overall, right? You could think about being in sacred relationship with nature, and that could mean, well, I don't litter, and, I value nature and I see it as alive. But you could get into sacred relationship to the point where you have a sacred relationship with water, and you understand that, you have water in your eyes. You have water that runs through your body because there's water in your blood, or, the ways that your body carries water through those spaces. Your emotions are water. Memory is water. So you can have a sacred relationship on a more intimate and more dialed in or in-depth way, right? By having a sacred relationship with, a much more finer aspect as opposed to the whole. Hi, Craig. How are you? Hi, Gracie. How are you doing? How's everybody doing? So yeah. Well, I hope you're doing well, Craig. It's been a little while. Let's do the little 44 keys of the way. Okay. I talked about a few different things with spirituality. I was talking about having a relationship with the elements, talking about how we need to be looking at creating harmonic cities or in harmonic structures. We need to go back to the time when we used to create buildings that, you know, were built to hold sound or to create frequencies, to be healing chambers. You know, like we have to be looking at, you know, incorporating sacred geometry and other things into the things that we're building into the new structures. You know, using more natural supplies. Sure, supplies works. It does work, but that's not, you know, not the quite the word I was looking for. Alrighty. Natural building supplies, like okay, we've got clear boundary and we've got the balanced life. Those are the first two. Let's see. See if we got one more spirit, please. Perfect. All right, and we've got the breakthrough. All right, so we'll start with the breakthrough. It's the last one that I picked up. The breakthrough, the affirmation is: insight emerges through patience. Remembrance. Breakthrough follows sustained effort. Pressure builds until shift occurs. Consistency prepares for the moment. Practice. Continue one practice for 10 minutes. Do not change it. Note any shift. The clear boundary. Affirmation. Healthy boundaries protect my energy. Remembrance. Boundaries define responsibility. They support honest connection. Saying no preserves alignment. Practice. Identify one misaligned request. Decline with one sentence. Don't over-explain. And then the last one is the balanced life. Affirmation. I create harmony between effort and rest. Remembrance. Balance is dynamic, not fixed. Overextension leads to depletion. Under engagement to stagnation. Adjustment maintains momentum. Practice. Identify one task to pause, take a 10-minute rest, return with one focused block. There you go. All right. How's everyone doing? Can I help you guys with anything? Are there any questions that you have about anything? Anything, try me. I mean, you could stump me. You really could. Ask me anything. That's what we're gonna do. Just ask me anything. We'll see who the first one is because I'm on a few channels, so we'll see. Hello, hello. On the 21st, so in 11 days, I have another book being released, and this one is book 7 in the Unlikely Heroine Chronicles, which features Sha'Ryah and the ghost who is afraid of the dark. It's a cute little story, and for children anywhere from, you could read it to someone as young as 4, but for anywhere from 4 and up till 12, I guess, around that age. Cute little story. All right. Well, if you guys don't have any questions, then I'm going to let you guys go. You have some things to look at with the cards that I shared and the stuff that I talked about already. And I will be back on Saturday at 10 a.m. Mountain for our global meditation. We'll do some cards to check in on the energy as well. And I'll be open to answering any questions. That can be around healing or awakening. It could be around spirituality. It could be around a lot of things. I have quite the diverse background, and lots of people have said my brain's like a freeway and like a super highway, and it is. It is. I have a lot of information in there. But so, we can chat. We can chat and have fun and have conversation, right? It's always better when you get involved. I always have more fun when you guys are participating, and, so bring some questions on Saturday. And if Saturday at 10 a.m. is too early for you, then we can look at getting together on Sunday at 6 p.m. because that's the live that I do after Saturday is 6 p.m. on Sunday evening. All right. But I will see you then. And like I said, have a wonderful evening. Remember to check your breath, check your posture, right? If you're sitting upright, you're going to be able to breathe better. Okay. And if you notice that your breath is up here, make sure that you just take a couple deep breaths, get your breath down into your tummy, at least get your diaphragm moving once in a while. Okay. Go take your shoes off, put them on the bare earth and ground a little bit. That's always relaxing. Okay. All right. I'll see you guys here on Saturday at 10 a.m. Mountain.